Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me live today to talk about the link between excess, overconsumption, how that's related to our nervous system, and then this concept of abundance. How can we embody and obtain this feeling outside of the capitalist framework? But before we get into that, I'm going to introduce myself. We'll take some breaths. I'll read a poem for us, and then we'll likely do a little somatic movement, and then we'll dive right in. So, my name is Opulence Abundance. I am a facilitator, a healing professional, a speaker. I do individual sessions, whether for accountability or for healing. I also am a conflict navigator. That's the title I forgot. So many titles. It's easy to forget. I used to have these business cards and I described myself as a big mouth, which got a really bad reaction when I gave them out. But a lot of people, but I thought it was just funny and kind of true. Like, this mouth is big and that's a blessing. So that's a little bit about me. I have a newsletter. If you aren't reading the newsletter, I think you would like the newsletter. Oh, welcome, my friends. Anyways, let's take some breaths together. Just 3 intentional breaths. They don't have to be super deep or anything, okay? They can just be intentional. I am so lucky to have you as a newsletter reader, my friend. Um, Thank you for breathing with me. Super sweet breaths. And I'm going to read a really special poem for us today. It is called For Calling the Spirit Back from Wandering the Earth in Its Human Feet by Joy Harjo. Joy Harjo is actually the first Native Poet Laureate. And whenever I listen to this poem, whenever I read it, I feel my spirit change. So I'm very excited to offer it to you all who are with me in real time and who might be joining me in the future. Okay, For Calling the Spirit Back from Wandering the Earth in Its Human Feet by Joy Harjo. Put down the bag of potato chips, that white bread, that bottle of pop. Turn off that cell phone, computer, and remote control. Open the door, then close it behind you. Take a breath, offered by friendly winds. They travel the earth, gathering essences of plants to clean. Give it back with gratitude. If you sing, it will give your spirit lift to fly to the stars' ears and back. Acknowledge this earth who has cared for you since you were a dream planting itself precisely within your parents' desire. Let your moccasin feet take you to the encampment of the guardians who have known you before time, who will be there after time. They sit before the fire that has been there without time. Let the earth stabilize your post colonial insecure jitters. Be respectful of the small insects, birds, and animal people who accompany you. Ask their forgiveness for the harm we humans have brought down upon them. Don't worry, the heart knows the way, though there may be high rises, interstates, checkpoints, armed soldiers, massacres, wars, and those who will despise you because they despise themselves. The journey might take you a few hours, a day, a year, a few years, 100 or 1,000 or even more. Watch your mind. Without training, it might run away and leave your heart for the immense human feast set by the thieves of time. Do not hold regrets. When you find your way to the circle, to the fire kept burning by the keepers of your soul, you will be welcomed. You must clean yourself with cedar, sage, or other healing plant. Cut the ties you have to failure and shame. Let go the pain you are holding in your mind, your shoulders, your heart, all the way to your feet. Let go the pain of your ancestors to make way for those who are headed in our direction. Ask for forgiveness. Call upon the help of those who love you. These helpers take many forms: animal, element, bird, angel, saint, stone, or ancestor. Call your spirit back. It may be caught in corners and creases of shame, judgment, and human abuse. You must call in a way that your spirit will want to return. Speak to it as you would to a beloved child. Welcome your spirit back from its wandering. It may return in pieces, in tatters. Gather them together. They will be happy to be found after being lost for so long. Your spirit will need to sleep a while after it's bathed and given clean clothes. Now you can have a party. Invite everyone you know who love and supports you. Keep room for those who have no place else to go. Make a giveaway. And remember, keep the speeches short. Then you must do this: help the next person find their way through the dark. Wow. Such a powerful, powerful text. Big thanks to our elder, Joy Harjo, whose story is incredible. She is a Native woman who was born on a reservation and survived horrific abuse, unfortunately, from, I think, her stepfather. And then she went to a boarding school, like an Indian boarding school. And I know the stories of those schools are like often very horrific. And I think that's why her story is powerful, because I listened to an interview with her and she shared how her school was actually filled, all the teachers were Native elders and artists. And there was just a lot of connection and love and camaraderie. And going to this boarding school actually really rescued her from her home. And so, yeah, that's a little bit of her story. Thank you for listening to that powerful poem with me. Take a breath to integrate it. And then I kind of want to, for some, I'm feeling moved to shake a little. So if you're able, we can just shake the hands. You can shake whatever part of the body you want. I'm going to do this fun thing. Okay, we'll count down from 5, and we can just increase our intensity as is comfortable to us as I count down. Okay, in the shaking, and then after I say 1, we'll become completely still. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. I also think today, thank you for listening. I'm so glad I got to read it to you, homie. Today I think another somatic thing that might be nice would be to create a little claw with the hands and just gently apply it to our forehead, center of forehead, and we'll just pull away gently. Just pulling away anything that's on our mind and just like flicking downward. And we can do this going down our head. Just like literally a little movement to help clear our thoughts, to release anything ready to release. Okay, nice. And then I think finishing this off with some gentle face touch. I hope you feel okay touching your face. I just washed my hands. But I think it's okay. I think it's okay just to touch our face. Anyways, we're gonna make we're just going to make like a heart shape on our face. This is called a Qigong facial. So we'll gather all this loving Qi, bring it to our face, and we'll just rub this heart shape. I'm going to do this 7 times. Ugh. I'm always, I'm always washing my face physically, but sometimes we have to wash our face energetically. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Okay. I don't know if it was safe for you to shake it out with me, but it does feel good. I think after reading that poem, I didn't expect it, but I was like, oh, I have a lot to release. Shaking is like one of my favorite somatic releases because animals do it. Anyways, thank you for staying with me through our poem, through our somatic portion. Now it's time to talk about what we're all here to talk about, right? Which is Amazon. Why does browsing Amazon feel so good? Why does consumption feel so good if it's wrong? Not wrong, like there doesn't have to be a moral attachment. You'll notice that I'm going to start rubbing my hands, which is like one of my another favorite somatic cue to just keep me grounded as I speak. And if you feel moved, I encourage you to also just try it out. It's really nice. Not only does it kind of give a nod to villains, famously queer coded villains that are always rubbing their hands, but there's something really sensory about it that helps keep me grounded. When we think about dissociation, what we're really talking about is a split between the mind and body. And that split can happen for a variety of reasons, but oftentimes that split occurs because there's some pressing trauma and the body is like our consciousness, bigger than just the mind or the body, but our consciousness perceives us to be in such great threat that the mind exits body sensations, dampens, numbs to body sensations, and the mind is what continues. Oftentimes, it's normal for us in life. Like when we trip and fall, if we were ever in a car accident, it's normal. Those are traumas, right? Single incident traumas. And that might be a time where our consciousness gets scared and our mind exits our body. And that's why, I thought it was very sweet when I was in an herbalism class that people were sharing about their childhood experiences of their grandparents, like when they fall, their family like rubbing their whole bodies and talking to them about susto, about shock. Welcome, Diana. So glad to see you. But yeah, their families would like, if they did fall, there would be a lot of care to call the soul back into the body, to rub the body, to bring the body and soul back together. Because our souls do get scared and they exit our body. So it's when the body kind of learns, when the mind learns to escape the body at the sign of a trauma, to get scared and to separate. It's like a muscle, right? And once we react that way once, it's easy to keep reacting that way. And the more that our bodies are trained, or like the more we've had to exit the body, the more we've had to live in the mind, the easier that reaction is. So that's just a little like overview of how dissociation happens. I definitely think that when I'm doom scrolling on Amazon, it does allow for a dissociative state to emerge. I want to touch on the fact that so many of us are living in capitalism, and I honestly don't know anyone who, like in real life, know anyone who's living outside of the fear of scarcity of capitalism. A part of what I feel in that and what I notice in myself is like when I read about layoffs, I'll feel a clench in the stomach. And my friend said to me, "Opulence, you work for yourself. You're not being laid off." Like nobody's laying you off. But still, I feel that anxiety and fear for the collective. Um, thinking about when my friends are caring for their elders and we're having conversations around like the cost of getting in-home aides or nursing homes, that can also trigger some fear and scarcity in me, right? It's very normal because I think the water we're all swimming in is that everything costs money and the prices are increasing. And we can also see that into our future, we're going to have more needs. And it's difficult to imagine that we'll be able to make money at the rate we are or to make more money in the future to care for our future selves. Like the math isn't mapping, and it can create just a general sense of dis-ease in our bodies, of fear. And as I'm naming it, let's just take a moment to like spread our arms if you're able, and we can just bring that fear kind of close in. And just breathe into it for a second and offer it a lot of love. And if it helps, maybe some a little chest thumping. We can make a butterfly with our hands and alternate tapping. For some people, this is very soothing. It's soothing for me, but if it's not, if it makes you feel more anxious, definitely don't tap. But just want to offer that while we can't predict the future, we can do our best with what we have now. And the affirmation that soothes me is like, I don't know what will happen in the future, but me and my community can solve any problem together. And when I think of community, when I use that word community, I think of something intergenerational, something alive, something with agreements. Oh, hi, friend. So just naming that it's okay to feel scared. And it's okay to also acknowledge that a lot of us are being dysregulated regularly around money. And that dysregulation, if we don't catch it, can contribute to can contribute to some dysregulated actions, right? One of the rules that I definitely live by as a conflict navigator, a healing professional, someone who trains people in de-escalation, is that we want to create a grounded nervous system. And I truthfully aim to be so grounded in my nervous system that if I encounter someone who's dysregulated, my nervous system can pull them down. I can't always do that. Like that's for some people that's not possible, right? But even if I can bring us a little lower, that's like my goal. And I really have learned a lot from there's a Thich Nhat Hanh quote. Thich Nhat Hanh is a Buddhist. He's passed, but his wisdom lives on with us. And he has spoken about how like he would be on these refugee boats from leaving Vietnam, and there would either be a storm and it would be very scary, or pirates would come to the ship and it would be very scary. And what he's named is if you can be one calm person on the boat, one calm person can change the outcome. And to me, this means like we don't always have to have the solution, but if we can take a breath and find safety in ourselves, we can allow and we can bring other people into that energy of groundedness with us. We can make better choices. So this world is set up to dysregulate us, to extract money and resources from us. And I believe that's why it's so important for us to cultivate community and resistance, because we deserve better. We deserve so much better, and we can have better. But we have to be able to regulate in order to resist the path that capitalism has set forth for us. And so I want to really turn my attention to this concept of dysregulation. And a big part of that is like Instagram takes a lot of time and energy from us because it's literally designed to mimic like a slot machine. Um, so in that way, it's like, oh, we're always doom scrolling. The doom scroll creates a dissociative experience for our mind and brain that our mind can and our brain can become addicted to because it's like an easy source of dopamine. And we can become addicted to doom scrolling, and then we have no time. We're not able to tend to relationships. Similarly, with Amazon and browsing, there can be an idea that we need everything. Capitalism through advertising really sells this message of like, here's a product, you need it. Everyone has this in your home, in their homes. Nobody's living without it. This is not true. This is just not true. And when we feel we need something or it's a necessity, we get enabled to buy it, right? We're like, oh, well, this is just for the home. It's okay. We need it. And sometimes that's true. I guess an example of that would be like toilet paper. We do need toilet paper. But an example of that I think is not true is something that I got tricked into buying off the TikTok shop, which is an electric scrub brush. It seemed so or like a steam cleaner. I'm always looking at steam cleaners on Amazon, and I'm like, I need this. If I have this, I'll become a clean person. And I read this review that was like, nobody actually needs a steam cleaner. And I realized it's probably true. Like, I think I should just probably clean regularly, but there's a lot of surfaces that you can't really use a steam cleaner on because it would ruin them. There are surfaces where it would be very useful. I feel torn here, but ultimately in my everyday life, probably like a rag and some water and soap or like some sort of like vinegar kind of does the trick. And I don't need much more than that. And that is part of what happens, I think, with online shopping is our needs get distorted. The other big thing that happens, and then we'll talk about the nervous system aspect of all this, is this idea of like, I'm suffering or everything is wrong. I will find a solution outside of myself that will fix something that will relieve suffering. And that is also an illusion. There is no miracle product or like someone that has all the answers. I was so susceptible to that thinking throughout my 20s. And I think now, anytime someone's like, this will solve all your problems, or I was suffering and now I'm no longer suffering, I'm like, oh, that is a scam. That is, I just like tell myself to resist it. And I notice it even when I go, listen, I try not to go to TJ Maxx because it's dangerous in there. Home Goods is dangerous. When I go to Home Goods, I'll see a teapot and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to have friends over and serve them tea out of this teapot and I need it and it's going to change my life and I don't have a good teapot right now. So this will really change things for me. But the reality is that I need to save that $10. I need that $10 more than I need that teapot. My friends are going to come over and drink tea with me regardless. It's okay. Like, I don't need it. It's not going to solve something. So capitalism really creates problems for us, really sells us ideas that are just not true. There's a lot of illusions. The nervous system thing I want to talk about that I think is really fascinating, and this is a little advanced, okay? We have circuits in our brain, okay? I kind of think of them as like tracks for a roller coaster, if that makes sense. And these circuits are like individual, like we have little nerve endings, right? We have like these axioms that send electrical impulses together, right? And these little nerves sending electrical impulses, those are like the tracks of the roller coaster. And that's why when people say like what fires together, wires together, and when people talk about like rewiring their brain, they're basically saying like, and it's true. It's like, if we use a routine as an example, maybe it's like, okay, I wake up and then I brush my teeth, and that's kind of wired together, and that creates a little roller coaster. There's certain of these like roller coaster tracks in our brain that are pre-existing and get activated when we experience certain emotions. One of those, let me know, please drop an emoji Kamal, if this is making sense. I think you're the one watching. I can't see who's watching. I can just see one person is watching. But anyways, if you're watching, drop an emoji. Let me know. But anyway, so the anger circuit is tied to seeking. So like when we're seeking, so when we get angry, we're often seeking or searching for something. And pay attention to this. Look out when you see other people in moments of extreme anger. Pay attention to what they're saying and what they're doing. These are often asking for a solution. They're looking for an answer. Oh, it's you, Diana. I'm so glad you're with me. Anyways, they're often seeking or searching or looking for an answer. And I think that it was interesting for me to realize this, because it's like, oh, oftentimes when we're really angry, there isn't an easy solution. There's not something you can easily find to relieve the anger. And so in that way, we can be trapped in that seeking circuit, which is, I think the solution to that is one of two things. It's either you accept that you're feeling uncomfortable and you just like kind of feel the urge to seek, but you understand like there's some part of you that's able to say like, I'm just angry, let me go for a run. Or you can say like, you can tell yourself you found the thing. You need to attach to something to be like, oh, okay, I have the answer. I found the thing. When it comes to capitalism, I see how our dysregulation can sometimes can activate this seeking circuit, that we might be seeking something to create security or transform our lives under capitalism. And I see how that can collide with behaviors, because also I know I'm someone that like sometimes when I'm very anxious and procrastinating, that's when I go towards an Amazon or I start like online shopping. And when I find the object, I feel like I've accomplished something. I've done something. I'm like, it provides a momentary comfort. But then the other side of that reality is that I feel that I've accomplished something. And then I get the package 2 weeks later and I'm like, what's this? And I don't actually need it. And I wish I had my $20 back. One way that I have been working with this in myself is I do have like a video game. Like I have Animal Crossing, and buying objects in Animal Crossing has been a great way for me to sort of like neutralize that seeking information. Anyway, so that's the piece about capitalism and how capitalism dysregulates us. I want to kind of move towards defining abundance in our current society and just naming that in the past, we did not have to pay for food. Food was free. And to understand that, like, we can find, I think that sometimes the model of abundance, I'm thinking like Gossip Girl, right? It's like, oh, I'll have enough money to be able to buy a Tesla and to never worry about money. What I think is interesting is that there are studies that show that like people almost everyone feels that if they just had 50% more money, they would be more comfortable. And there is a way where lifestyle can accelerate alongside your paycheck increasing. And it's just extremely easy to live outside of your means. So I think it's important. And I think I'm trying to name that you have to consciously live within your means, but also to know that more money is just not the solution. I think we actually have to divest from money and divest from an image of having an excessive amount of money. And while I say this, I just want to capture, like, I get the nuance. Like, I am someone that is doing a lot to make more money. I need money to live. I want to not be in a rat race. So I'm not saying act like you don't live in capitalism, but I am saying understand that money is it's a means to an end. We cannot breathe money. We cannot eat money. If our focus is just on having more money, then we're kind of really trapped in the rat race. I encourage you to find a vision of your future that is not about how much money you have, but is about who you're with or whatever joy you are partaking in. So if you love solitude and your future is like a cabin by the sea, that's beautiful. Understand that that is the outcome that money would enable, right? And to know that when we focus not on the money, that our world can become more expansive, because those things can happen without money, you know? And I guess using the cabin by the sea as an example, someone maybe can leave you a cabin in their will. And then maybe you have a really amazing garden, and it would be easy for you to thrive in that life. So I just want to name that it's so important for us to reframe abundance and have a concept of abundance that exists without outside of capitalism. I think my concepts of abundance are like friends, family, those moments where I described it in the newsletter, but like laying in the sun with friends, having like a platter of fruit, everyone's laughing, it's joyful, like that feels abundant to me. Dance floors feel abundant. Fruit feels honestly like potatoes feel so abundant to me. I'm like, wow, the earth has given me so many potatoes and onions. So let me know what your images or understandings of abundance are. I think it's a crucial conversation for us to have. And I think it's so crucial for us to resist capitalism. Thank you all for being here with me today. Thank you for listening, for watching. Big, big love and care for you all. Mwah. See you Monday. Bye. Oh, whoops.